Yeah, hold your coffee, sweetheart. Woo! Dude, this thing is nice. How is it going, guys? Drew Peacock here, back with another video, and since the Corvette is back and better than ever, there is no time like the present to keep modifying this beast. I absolutely love this car. Over the last couple days, I have re-fallen in love with this car. I mean, I've always loved the car. After not having it for so long and finally getting it back, like, it's true. The Corvette just drives like nothing else. Honestly, if you ever get the chance, drive a Corvette. It doesn't even have to be a ZR1. They're so much fun. Anyways, in order to make the Corvette even more fun and to really just dial in the suspension even more, we have some BMR suspension goodies. You guys know BMR has been a long-time sponsor of the builds. We have a lot of BMR stuff on the Corvette right now, like the Delrin bushings. We have a lot of BMR stuff on the Mustang as well. Helps us get down the half mile at almost 190 miles an hour. So I really like BMR suspension, and we have some more parts. Let me show you guys what they sent. So in the first box right here, we have some really nice adjustable spherical bushings, and what these help you do, especially if you're on a lowered car, is just make sure that your angle of your spherical bushing is properly set up. Also removes any bushings. This is a spherical bushing, so there is pretty much no play in it. It is going to go wherever you point the wheel. Reading straight from BMR's website, these will correct bump steer and improve steering geometry of your C5 and C6 Corvette. Outer tie rods can wear out over time and increase the amount of bump steer you get while driving. BMR's bump steer kit, the street version, which is what I have here, corrects bump steer and is designed for street performance, road racing, and drag racing applications. And then looking at the second box, we have the BMR stud kit for the front and rear upper control arms. And what these do is they minimize frame wear and add suspension control to your C6 or C7 Corvette. The factory bolts on the Corvette can wear out the frame inserts over time. I mean, you have to keep in mind, these are aluminum frame cars and you're putting crazy load on them. However, this stud kit replaces all of those bolts with studs, so you can make easy alignment changes for street performance, drag racing, and handling applications. Now, they do have a newer version of this kit that comes with the actual camber bolts, and they might be sending that out this week, so hopefully I get that before we finish up this whole job. But essentially, pairing these with the BMR suspension that we already have on the car with the upgraded Delrin bushings and stuff, this is a perfect combination to just stiffen up the suspension even more. I mean, these things from factory are crazy handling machines. It just blows my mind every time I take a corner and I think I'm going too fast. The car just eats that up. But yeah, after all of this stuff is installed, I mean, dude, this thing is gonna handle like a supercar. It already kind of does, but this thing is gonna be ridiculous. I mean, this BMR suspension stuff is no joke. They're very smart over there. They know what they're doing. So if they sell something for a car and they say it's gonna improve it, it's gonna improve it. So anyways, let me get this little thing up in the air. And just like that, the car is about 2 feet off the ground thanks to quick jacks. So now, let's go ahead and remove these crusty, dusty wheels. So with the front wheel off, those are what we are gonna be replacing with these. And then this piece right here is what we're gonna be replacing with this, where is it? Here we go, this bump steer. So we'll probably start with, we can probably start with the bump steers. We'll probably do this one first. So we got to angle the wheel and we'll turn that one off. So here's a much better view of what it looks like. It's this piece right here. It's just looks like some cast shit. It doesn't look like anything impressive. So we got one nut, and we're probably gonna have to gently massage it out of this piece. And then we got to remove it from the actual steering rack itself. So let me go ahead and remove this one. So I already broke it loose, and it's gonna be hard to demonstrate with one hand, but you're essentially gonna hit it with one of these and just keep loosening it. Just make sure you don't strip it. So I am noticing that it looks like it's just gonna drop straight out. I'm not gonna have to, like, you know, press it out or anything, which is really nice. But before I do that, I'm actually gonna break loose this locking nut back there, so that way hopefully everything just comes off really nice. Now, for our own alignment's sake, we want to keep it as close to that as possible, unless the other one is a different size and we'll have to do some calculations. But we're gonna have to go get an alignment after this. We just need it good enough to get to the alignment shop. So just keep that in mind when unthreading all this fun stuff. All right, that is now nice and loose. So like I said, we're gonna try to leave it as close to this as possible. But now we can fully remove this and unscrew the whole unit. And just like that, it came right out. So here's what the OEM one looks like. And it just has a basic bushing that is, well, you know, for lack of a better term, pretty oriented towards grandpas. So we're going to replace this with something oriented towards, I don't know, a race car driver. So let's go ahead and take this completely off. Looking at the two side by side, I mean, there is a pretty big difference in, well, just how robust this one is. I mean, this thing is, I don't know, it'd probably survive if a Mustang driver took this over a curb. Let's keep it a buck here. This one, just, you know, a cheap cast one. Now, mine is a pretty low mile car, so this doesn't feel horrible. But if your car has some miles on it and you're gonna replace this anyways, you might as well upgrade to the BMR one. So let's go ahead and get this one started. Now, right off the bat, I do see that these are two very different sizes. So I'm gonna try to match the sizes as best as possible. All right, it is now about the appropriate length. So let's go ahead and start installing it. So just go ahead and do the same thing. Make sure your threads are clean, of course. Toss her back on. Now, I haven't tightened anything yet, but this is kind of how we're looking right now, and we could take off this nylock nut and go ahead and feed it back into the spindle. Another way you can make sure that this is as close to possible, which is the way BMR says to do it, is make a mark on your inner tie rod and measure before you remove how far out the actual bolt is. And then from there, you just got to match that with your new piece. So you could do either or. Now we need to torque this to 50 foot-pounds. And the way to set this height is when this thing is under load, you want your tie rod and your upper control arm to be parallel. Now that's once there's load on the vehicle, so not when it's in the air like this. So we can't do that just yet, but we can, I don't know, maybe ballpark it for now. But 50 foot-pounds on the top nut. All right, now that that bolt is torqued to 50 foot-pounds, we can tighten up that rear locking nut. And then I guess we can move on to the stud kit and and then wait till the end to set the alignment on the bottom nuts down there. So let's go ahead and move on to these. So really quickly, I went ahead and knocked out one side, and I just gotta say, this is a really easy install. Like, anybody can do this. So essentially, we are removing those bolts, replacing them with studs, and then they give you a couple different options for shims. And I put on the thinner shim, which only adds about 0.25 of camber. They have thicker shims in the box in case you're really track aggressive and you need to balance out your camber a little bit more. That will add about a half a degree of camber. So I'm gonna start with the thinner shims. This thing isn't absolutely dumped, it should be fine. But let me show you how to make this side look like this side. Let's go. First things first, we gotta remove these 15mm bolts. Now I'm choosing to do one side at a time, that way I don't have to completely remove and have this control arm and this whole knuckle fall down on me. So there are some washers behind these, so we got to make sure to finesse them out. So you can compare the thickness of the washer on your car to the shim, and I did just notice the shims I am putting in are slightly thinner, so I might change out the other shim and go with the thicker one. But at the same time, the other shim is a little bit thicker, so I'd rather have a little bit more camber than a little bit too much positive camber, so we'll just leave it. Now you get your new stud and apply a line of thread lock on it. Should look like that when you're done. And then you gotta line it up and thread it in. I cannot do that with one hand, so let me go ahead and put the camera down. And after we get the studs in, you simply put on the nylock nuts, tighten them to 50 foot-pounds, and you're good to go. Now, one thing I do want to say, they claim that you need to tighten the studs themselves to 60 or 50 foot-pounds. I went as tight as possible that I could with my 3/8 ratchet, and with the red Loctite, I think it'll be fine. I don't know if that's a typo, but I don't think you can get 50 foot-pounds out of those, at least not on their own. Maybe if they had like a locking nut or something, or you know, you double nutted it and then tightened it. But yeah, I got them really tight. Should be good, should be fine. If I ever notice any clicking, I'll just keep my eye on it or anything. But yeah, now we got the shims in, we got the bump steer in, and this side is officially done. Let me knock out the other side front, and then we will do a rear and see if it's any different. I don't think it is. And then we're pretty much done with the two boxes we have here. Now, hopefully, like I said, we get the other camber bolts pretty soon. But this is a nice way to be able to adjust your camber with these shims. And I am really dirty, so I'm gonna go wash my hands. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? You guys want to help? I'm already done for the most part. We haven't done the up and down adjustment on the bump steer yet, but we have the driver's side camber plates installed, the driver's side rear camber plates installed, the passenger side rear camber plates installed, and of course the side that we all did together. You guys helped me so much. We did the front passenger camber plates and bump steer. So now I'm gonna straighten the wheel. I mean, it won't actually matter right now because it has some play, but we're gonna try to put some load on those arms and set that. So I'm gonna have to lower it down and put like a jack under each side and try to do it the best I can. I don't know, we gotta figure this out. Okay, so this is how I'm choosing to tackle that adjustment point on the bump steer. So I have my wheel as straight as possible. Okay, again, we're gonna get in alignment, so it's not the end of the world if it's not, but got it straight. And then I have the whole vehicle pretty much on the floor except for this corner. Now I have carbon ceramic brakes, so I have to be really careful because you don't want to mess these up, but you can see my rotor is still loose. I am underneath the knuckle down there, but now we can kind of get an idea of how this inner tie rod needs to be lined up with the upper control arm. So what I'm going to do is get a level and try to see just how angled this upper control arm is, and then try to match that as close I can with the inner tie rod. If I had an alignment rack and this was all supported, it'd be a lot easier, but obviously I'm in my own garage and I don't have an alignment rack in here, so let me see if I could get this figured out. It doesn't seem too difficult. So this is what I'm actually doing. So I got my iPhone in here working as a level, and as you can see, we're at about 3 degrees. About 3 degrees. I don't know if you guys could see that very well. There you go. And if we go down here, balance it, and I'll try to do my best to show you guys. And as you can see right there, I got it set to 3 degrees as well. So that's about how much thread is exposed on that, so you can kind of get an idea. But you could see how the ball joint is pretty much parallel and looks pretty even in there. So go ahead and get that tightened up, and this side will be done. Okay, so now we're at the fun part of trying to get this thing drivable, because we just cooked the alignment and we need to now fix it so that way we can get to an alignment shop to have it professionally aligned. And this is the method I'm using. So I've seen this method used years ago, and I've never actually used it myself, but it's just one of those, you know, YouTube videos that you watch and it eventually just comes back and is helpful. And that is this yarn or string method. So I have the yarn tied behind the wheel on like the sway bar back there, and as you can see, we are touching tire there and we are touching tire here. What we need to do, and I've already kind of adjusted it, I need to still do more adjustments, is make the tire touch here and here. It's only touching here right now, and as you can see, that's way off. I mean, that's I don't know, an inch and a half off. So going to the other side, same thing. It's touching up here, not touching back here. So I'm gonna make it look a little bit straighter, as close as we can get, and then go drive it, and hopefully it's not, you know, shaking or horrible. But this is just to get us to the alignment shop. So this is why you can't just do it in the air, because once the car gets back on the floor, you're gonna be way off again. So what we're gonna do is throw it up in the air, and I'm gonna try to find some blocks to put it under. That way we can make the adjustments while it's, you know, I don't know, on some blocks, and I can reach under. I might be able to reach under with it on the floor, but I still got to break them loose again, so let me get it up in the air. All right, guys, it is the next day. I took the car around the block last night just to make sure that it wasn't like crazy undrivable, and honestly, felt better than how it did before, because I had lowered it, I had done the control arms, I had adjusted some stuff, but the stuff I did yesterday with the string alignment, I might have brought it all back. Anyways, with the garage door closed, hopefully you can see it a little bit better, but the wheel, since I added the shim on the back, and I was unsure if I was going to because I didn't have any shims in the back before, but I added the small shim in the back, the wheel fits a bit better. Now, I don't want it to be, you know, sticking out, and I am curious what degree of camber this is, because I think the rears, you want around 1.5 or 2, and the fronts, you want a little bit more. I've seen track people go up to 3 up front of negative camber. So on Thursday we will get all this dialed in, but all the BMR stuff is on the Corvette now, and it is good.
So let's go ahead and head to the canyons to put this stuff to the test. So I filmed this video about a month ago, and I've been driving around the Corvette regularly, and in the canyons and even on the street, you can notice the difference. Easily the biggest difference is from their outer tie rods. The steering just feels way more tight, just how I like it, giggity, and the car is just that much more responsive. Now, no, I don't think we transformed the car into a GT3RS. However, every little thing that we do with BMR is just making this car just that much more capable. So please enjoy some C6 ZR1 ASMR canyon driving, and remember, if you're going to shop BMR, to use discount code Peacock7. Big thank you to BMR Suspension for sponsoring this video, and until next time, see ya.